In the days when Israel was ruled by judges, the land was filled with uncertainty and hope was often hard to find. In a small village, Manoah and his wife lived quietly, longing for a child of their own. Every morning they knelt together in prayer, their voices rising with the sun, asking for a blessing that seemed impossible. Their home was filled with quiet moments and gentle hope as they waited and trusted that God would hear their pleas. One peaceful afternoon, as Manoah's wife rested in a sunlit field, a radiant figure appeared before her, an angel, shining with heavenly light. The angel spoke words that would change her life forever, announcing that she would soon bear a son, despite her years of waiting. This child, the angel declared, was chosen by God for a special purpose, to begin the deliverance of Israel from the oppression of the Philistines. The angel gave careful instructions. She must not drink wine or eat anything unclean, for her son was to be set apart from birth. Most importantly, her son's hair must never be cut, a sign of his lifelong dedication to God. This was the Nazirite vow, a sacred promise marking him as someone set apart for God's work and protection. The boy's uncut hair would be a visible sign of his calling and the source of the extraordinary strength he would one day possess. Overwhelmed with joy and awe, Manoah's wife hurried to tell her husband the incredible news. Manoah, filled with wonder, prayed for wisdom to raise such a child. The angel returned once more, appearing to both Manoah and his wife, repeating the instructions and reassuring them of God's plan. Grateful and humbled, Manoah and his wife promised to obey every command, recognizing the honor and responsibility they had been given. They built an altar and offered a sacrifice to God. As the flames rose, the angel ascended to heaven in the fire, leaving them in awe of the miracle they had witnessed. Their faith was rewarded, and a new sense of hope and purpose filled their home, transforming their days with anticipation. The promise of a child destined for greatness brought joy and excitement as they prepared for the arrival of their long-awaited son. They carefully made ready for the birth, knowing their son would one day lead Israel and fulfill God's promise. The Nazirite vow would set him apart from the very beginning, marking his life as one of purpose and destiny. Manoah and his wife placed their trust in God's mysterious plan, believing that he would guide their steps and protect their child. Their prayers, once whispered in the quiet of dawn, had been answered in a way more miraculous than they could have imagined. The story of Samson, a child of promise and hope, was about to unfold. A new chapter in Israel's history. In the arms of his loving parents, the future of Israel rested, and the miraculous journey of Samson was just beginning. Samson was born into a world of hardship and hope, a time when his people longed for deliverance from their enemies. From his earliest days, it was clear he was extraordinary. His presence seemed to carry a sense of destiny. His parents never cut his hair, honoring the sacred Nazirite vow, a promise made before his birth. As Samson grew, God's Spirit filled him with incredible strength, unlike anything the world had seen. His long hair became a symbol of his sacred promise, a visible sign of his unique calling. Samson's feats amazed everyone. He could do what no one else dared, lifting boulders and breaking ropes as if they were nothing. His power wasn't just physical, it was rooted in faith, obedience, and a deep trust in God's plan for his life. The people saw him as God's chosen champion, a beacon of hope in troubled times. The Nazirite vow set him apart, requiring him to avoid wine, the dead, and all things that could defile his sacred purpose. He was never to cut his hair, for it was the outward sign of his lifelong dedication to God. As long as he honored this vow, God's strength flowed through him, empowering him to do the impossible. Samson's strength was a responsibility, not just a gift. It was a burden he carried for his people. He felt called to challenge the Philistines, Israel's oppressors, and to stand against injustice with courage. His journey as a hero was just beginning, and every step he took was guided by a higher purpose. Every strand of his hair represented his connection to God, a living reminder of his sacred mission. Samson's story would show that true strength comes not from muscle alone, but from faithfulness and unwavering devotion. The Philistines would soon learn the power of a man set apart by God, a force they could not understand or defeat. Samson was ready to fulfill his destiny, and his legend was only just beginning. Samson, a man set apart from birth, traveled to the town of Timnah, his heart full of purpose and curiosity. There he saw a Philistine woman who captivated him, stirring feelings he had never known before, even though his parents warned him against marrying outside their people. On his journey, a ferocious lion suddenly leapt at him from the vineyards, but God's spirit surged within Samson, granting him supernatural strength to tear the beast apart with his bare hands, as if it were nothing more than a young goat. Amazed by his own power, Samson kept this incredible feat a secret, telling no one, not even his closest family. Later, retracing his steps, he discovered a swarm of bees and honey inside the lion's carcass. He scooped out the honey, tasted its sweetness, and shared it with his parents, but he never revealed the strange and miraculous source. At his wedding feast, surrounded by laughter and celebration, Samson challenged his Philistine guests with a riddle inspired by his secret. Out of the eater, something to eat. Out of the strong, something sweet. The riddle was a mystery only he could truly understand. The Philistines puzzled over the riddle for days, growing increasingly frustrated as the answer eluded them. Desperate to avoid humiliation, they turned to Samson's new wife, pressuring her relentlessly to uncover the answer. She wept and pleaded with Samson, using every ounce of persuasion until, worn down by her distress, he finally revealed the secret to her. She quickly passed the answer to the Philistines, who triumphantly solved the riddle just before the deadline. Realizing he had been betrayed by someone he trusted, Samson's heart filled with anger and disappointment. To pay the wager he had promised, Samson struck down 30 Philistines in a nearby town, taking their garments to settle his debt with the riddle's winners. This act of vengeance only deepened the animosity and set the stage for a bitter rivalry between Samson and the Philistines. The riddle became a lasting symbol of the growing tension and mistrust between them, echoing through the years. Samson's unmatched strength and clever mind set him apart as a figure both feared and admired. The Philistines saw him as a dangerous adversary, a man they could not outwit or overpower no matter how hard they tried. With every encounter, the conflict escalated and the stage was set for even greater battles to come. Samson's legend continued to grow, his story echoing through the land as a tale of strength, mystery, and destiny. After the betrayal, Samson's conflict with the Philistines escalated. In Gaza, the Philistines tried to trap him by locking the city gates. At midnight, Samson approached the gates, tore them from the ground, and carried them to a hill near Hebron. The guards watched in disbelief as he turned their strongest defense into a spectacle. This act humiliated the Philistines and proved Samson's divine strength. The story of the gates spread, making Samson a legend. His enemies realized brute force couldn't stop him. Samson's power was a message Israel's champion could not be contained. The Philistines' fear grew with every tale of his might. Samson's actions inspired hope among his people. His strength was a sign of God's favor. The battle between Samson and the Philistines was far from over. The Philistines, desperate for revenge, invaded Judah. The men of Judah, terrified, blamed Samson and handed him over to the enemy, bound with new ropes. As the Philistines celebrated, God's spirit filled Samson with power. He snapped the ropes and grabbed a donkey's jawbone. With it, he struck down 1,000 Philistines, turning the tide single-handedly. Exhausted, Samson cried out to God, who miraculously provided water. Even the strongest needed God's help. This victory made Samson a legend and a judge over Israel for 20 years. His strength was unmatched, but his dependence on God was clear. The Philistines' fear of Samson only deepened. Israel found hope in their champion. Samson's battles were far from over. His story was one of courage, faith, and divine power. The struggle with the Philistines would define his life. Samson's journey took a fateful turn when he met Delilah in the valley of Sorek. He fell deeply in love, unaware of her true loyalties. The Philistine rulers bribed Delilah to uncover the secret of Samson's strength. She agreed, tempted by their offer. Delilah used her charm to coax Samson, asking him how he could be overpowered. Samson, suspecting nothing, gave her a false answer about fresh bowstrings. Delilah tried it, but Samson easily broke free. Undeterred, she pressed him for the truth. The game between them grew more dangerous. Delilah's persistence was relentless. Samson's trust blinded him to the danger. The Philistines waited for their chance. Delilah's betrayal was only beginning. Samson's greatest test was yet to come. Delilah, frustrated by Samson's tricks, demanded the real secret of his strength. Samson gave her another false answer, new ropes, but again broke free. Delilah accused him of not loving her and wore him down with constant pleading. Finally, Samson revealed the truth. His strength came from his uncut hair, a sign of his vow to God. Delilah knew he had finally told her everything. She alerted the Philistine rulers. As Samson slept, Delilah had his hair cut. His strength left him and the Philistines captured him. Samson's trust had led to his downfall. The symbol of his power was gone. The Philistines had finally defeated their greatest enemy. Samson's story took a tragic turn, but hope was not lost. With his hair gone, Samson's strength vanished. The Philistines captured him, blinded him, and made him a prisoner in Gaza. Once a mighty champion, Samson was now forced to grind grain in prison. The Philistines mocked him, parading their victory. Yet, as Samson toiled in darkness, his hair began to grow back. The symbol of his vow and his hope returned. Samson's fall was complete, but his faith endured. The Philistines saw only a broken man, but God was not finished with Samson. In captivity, Samson's spirit was renewed. His final act would be his greatest. Redemption was within reach. The stage was set for one last stand. The Philistines held a grand festival, bringing Samson out to mock him before thousands. Blind and humbled, Samson prayed to God for strength one last time. Led to the temple's main pillars, he placed his hands on them. With a final surge of power, Samson pushed the pillars apart. The temple collapsed, killing Samson and thousands of Philistines. In his last act, Samson fulfilled his destiny as Israel's deliverer. His sacrifice brought victory over his enemies. Samson's story ended in heroic redemption. The legend of the strongest man in the Bible lived on. His faith and courage inspired generations. Samson's life was a testament to God's power and mercy. Even in failure, he found purpose. The tale of Samson remains a story of hope. His legacy endures as a symbol of strength and faith.